Yeah. So I put together a slideshow. I drove my wife all over Washington. We took video of out west of Seattle, where they filmed a lot of Twin Peaks, and out west of Seattle, where there's Poulsbo, because that's our tiny Scandinavian town in the real world. Real watery, except Norwegians and not Finns. Yay! You know, some national parks in the area. Some good stuff like that. Because I'm not a videographer. I'm a photographer more than anything else. So I'm bad at taking video. Oh, yeah, and I've got interspaced some, like, photos from Alan Wake 2 and Control and stuff. Anyway, let's read a book. Let's get that music back on. Ati! Alright. The book you hold in your hands represents the end of one life and the beginning of another. My name is Clay Stewart, and I began on this path when a series of strange dreams turned out to be visions of a real man, a town in trouble, and a powerful destructive force beyond my imagining. 2 years ago, if someone had asked me who Alan Wake was, or where the town of Bright Falls was located, I would have been stumped on both counts. My life had, up to that point, been untouched by either of these particulars, and perhaps for the better. But I cannot change the past. I can only try to make sense of it, and with the publication of this book, perhaps gain some measure of forgiveness from those I hurt along the way. I will explain how I became involved in these events, but there's one thing I need you to understand. It's that the strange disturbances that shook Bright Falls in the weeks preceding the Deerfest of last year represent one of the greatest mysteries of our time. This book began as a personal attempt to understand and solve those mysteries. Now, I fear that may be impossible. I hope merely to exorcise them, and by doing so, to relinquish their claims upon me. I lived a quiet life in Madison, Wisconsin, until the dreams started. Recurring dreams, all pointing me to a particular place. My first dream was nothing at all. I'm alone in a cabin at night. Someone knocks, and I step out onto the porch. There's no one there, but the lantern is broken in what I take to be a very meaningful way. That's how it strikes me. The second dream is the same as the first, except that after I find the broken lamp, I hear something in the forest, and I think I see movement. I follow it to the forest's edge, but then it stops. The third dream follows the course of dreams 1 and 2, except the sounds get louder and louder. Trees fall, and it's as though I am caught in a storm. I run away and down the road till I get to the ocean. There's a lighthouse, and it's obvious to my dream logic that I will be safe there. A man holds the lighthouse door open and frantically waves me towards him. I run and run, chased by this thing, this dark omnipresence, and in the last possible moment, I'm consumed. I cease to exist. Soon, I'm having these dreams every night, and it's the same each time. I'm chased by this dark monster, or men consumed by shadows, and again, I see this man in his early 30s, with a strong but friendly face. Sometimes, I save his life. Other times, he saves mine, but we always die in the end. I start staying up later and later, trying to avoid sleep. My wife and my little boy are safe in their beds, and I'm up at 3 a.m. watching the tube, surfing through a wasteland of softcore soap and slaughter, trying to stay awake. But you can't stay awake forever. Late one night, I'm watching reruns of that old show, Night Springs, but I keep nodding off. In the twilight between dreaming and waking, I hear the voice of the man from my dreams. He's talking to me, saying, I'm not interested in literary cliques or in questions of genre versus literary fiction. I want a good story, well told, and I'll take it where I can get it. My eyes flitter open, and there he is, the nameless man from my dreams. He is on my freaking television set. Oh, Clay, you can say fuck. We're gonna let Clay say fuck on this stream. He is on my fucking television set, being interviewed at a round wooden table with 2 other men. I almost leaped from the couch, and I am more awake than I have ever been in my life. I watch and watch till another question is directed at this man, and the caption reads, Alan Wake, author of The Sudden Stop. It's entirely possible, even likely, that considering Wake's fame, I had seen his picture before and performed some unconscious copy-paste work. But I knew things about him from my visions, things that I hadn't read. In the days following my discovery, I obsessively researched his writings, read everything I could get my hands on, and it only confirmed that he was the same man with whom I'd been trapped in my nightly hellscape. His detective, Alex Casey, resembled him. They shared the same grim humor, even when death felt certain. I was convinced that my dreams represented a shared experience with Alan Wake. More than that, they were a warning. I wrote a long and impassioned letter to Mr. Wake's publishers, but only received a postcard noting my letter's receipt and encouraging me to purchase Wake's latest book. Every time I re-entered the dream world, I became an obsessive observer of this strange dimension, which seemed to be an underwater world populated by unknowable dark forces whose only desire was to destroy me. I was a diligent transcriber of these awful visions, and every time I woke, I updated the dream journal I started. My wife Anna and I hardly spoke anymore, and I felt myself becoming increasingly disengaged from my former life. The journal was the one thing that helped me make sense of what I was experiencing. The dreams continued, becoming more and more horrific over the following months. Only one thing was clear. Alan Wake was somehow at the center of what I was experiencing. In fact, he was the cause of what I was experiencing. Every night I was killed, or I witnessed others killed. Finally, I saw a small town destroyed, and a whole world consumed by darkness. It was all his fault. I didn't blame him for it, but I had to contact him, to tell him what I'd seen, to warn him. While researching lighthouses at the university library, I happened upon an image of the lighthouse from my dreams. This hit me like a thunderclap. It was located outside a town called Bright Falls. An internet image search revealed a scrapbook of my visions. Here it was, this small picturesque town in Washington state. Fishing, logging, bad weather. The buildings, streets, and bridges were those from my nightmares. I'd seen it all before. Man, I wish we had bad weather. Oh, there's the cafe from Twin Peaks. Yay! Oh, and this is Snoqualmie Falls, so this is outside the Salish Lodge, where they shot the exteriors for the lodge in Twin Peaks. Yay! I couldn't deny it anymore, and my decision was made for me. I bought a $165 ticket on a Greyhound bus and arrived in Bright Falls 2 days later. I'll admit that things didn't feel right from the beginning. I lived in enough Midwestern shitbergs to know what economic blight looks like up close, and this wasn't that. Something had happened here. There were bullet holes in buildings and a general air of civil disturbance. There was talk of tornadoes and a troubling number of women dressed in mourning clothes. There were 3 funerals the first day, all held for local fathers, husbands, and wives, all held in absentia. When I asked people what had happened here, some mentioned freak storms and an annual town party that was preceded by horrible accidents. Most would not reply at all. They shook their heads and walked away, that stricken look of survivor guilt crimping their faces. They avoided my questions as though I was probing into some town shame, some big secret no one dared reveal. I know how strange that sounds, but it felt as though the whole town was being held hostage. Like they'd been told they were being watched, and if they spoke to anyone, there'd be more deaths, and more after that. I checked into room number 2 at the Majestic Motel. Smelled of stale alcohol and cigarettes with a fair dose of what I now recognized as fear sweat. I had no idea how long I would spend there, but I unpacked my bags, all except for my dream journal, took my pocket knife from my backpack and drew out the Phillips head, climbed up to the air vent and unscrewed the panel, thinking myself very clever, even though I'd seen this trick in a couple of movies. Well, I guess someone else had been there too. Someone else had too, because it was there that I found the green cardboard box. I pulled it out and opened it up on the bed, a cachet of documents, some 3 manila folders thick. When I saw the name of its author, I understood that this was the end of another's journey. Special Agent Robert Nightingale of the FBI. My months of pain, my disintegrating marriage, my confusion all washed through me. This was what dreams had pointed me to. This room in Bright Falls, Washington. There are some who will question the authenticity of my find and consider it an elaborate hoax, or the product of a broken mind, but I am not deterred. The longer I spent with Nightingale's dossier, the more I became convinced that I had found a fellow traveler. He may have been a drunk, insane with grief, or a kind of madness that has no name, but he was on to something, as my own subsequent investigation has proven. Alan Wake had just been to Bright Falls. His wife Alice had disappeared. A series of chaotic and unexplained events leading to missing and dead persons, the destruction of buildings, reports of shadow men and monsters followed soon after. I had arrived at the edge of a great and foreboding secret. I set out from the Majestic the next day to search out the truth for myself. Hell yeah, Clay. Let's do this. The handwritten notes found among Agent Nightingale's effects form perhaps the most telling document in the collection about his internal struggle as he pursued Alan Wake. The mixture of driving forces creates a maelstrom of turbulence inside a man. Not unlike Wake, trying to hold himself together while pursuing a quixotic goal. The notes presented here in facsimile form to give readers the same sense of physical texture I found when I discovered them. Here, Nightingale inadvertently exposes his tortured ambivalence alongside his dogged determination. These ghosts from his past battle with the demons he meets in his present. As for his future, there seems nothing brighter than doubt. It is unclear whether this cachet represents the entirety of the notes he took or simply a portion. They do, however, suggest that Nightingale was at the breaking point, physically and mentally. Whether the abrupt end of his field notes was the result of sheer exhaustion on the agent's part, or another, more nefarious explanation, I am unable to determine. Day 1, night. Exhausted. Missed the turn off. Took 2 hours longer than planned. Trees are pretty, but hell, they all look alike. This place really is in the middle of nowhere. And not exactly the middle. That'd be too easy. Sun's already down, motel stinks, and not even in a good Chicago way. Majestic my ass. Gotta check in with the local Johnny Law in the morning. Haven't really grilled the local yokels yet. Don't think the moron at the front desk counts. Wish I had the Bureau's backing. Some official resources would help. But then there'd be a lot of explaining to do, and I got no better way to burn my free time. Still have a few favors I can call in if I need some heavy lifting. Better this way. Day 2. Johnny Law turns out to be Janie Law. Sheriff Breaker, comes from cop family. Knows diddly squat. Usual hostility to feds. Don't know whether to use honey or salt on this one. Don't know if I have enough honey in me. She did make the phone call I needed. Let's consider her pliable. Dinner's a great place to start to get all friendly with the townies. Had a cardboard cutout of Wake propped up near the door. One of the waitresses is supposed to be a big fan. When I talked to Sheriff Breaker later, she revealed a different point of view than the one Agent Nightingale expresses here. She believed their relationship was cordial, cooperative. The hostility he speaks of here may well reveal more about the agent's predisposition than any actual exchange between the two law enforcement officers. Breaker would not comment on the nature of the call she was asked to make, and, when I asked her about Agent Nightingale's current whereabouts, she turned around and wished me luck, our interview at an end. Day 2, afternoon. How to get our boy before he hurts anyone. That's the million-dollar question. Do these people know what they're dealing with here? Good God, it's like watching toddlers play with nitro. Interviewed locals at Trailer Park. Suspect there's something behind all these dopey country facades. Everybody knows more than they're telling. Or maybe they just don't. It's even scarier. Wake did a number on that waitress. Sweet kid, but can't tell night from day. What Nightingale refers to, our boy, it can only be assumed he means Alan Wake. What is not clear is why Nightingale is so afraid of what Wake might do. Although Wake has a history of erratic behavior, he's not associated with anything that would give experienced an FBI agent concern. Nightingale seems equally unnerved and suspicious of the locals, and more than that, he evidences a genuine fear of an undetermined someone or something. Day 3. Noises last night. Some damn animals. Went out again, got lost again. Goddamn trees. Can't believe how slippery some guys are. Talked to the front desk moron this morning. Didn't seem to know zip about Wake. Got real quiet when I mentioned him, in fact. Could be he just ran out of thoughts. Get nothing out of these people. Nightingale's commentary on his encounters with the motel staff reveal both his growing frustration with the pace of his investigation and his distrust of the locals. His reports of strange noises in the night, his confession to getting lost again, only serve to highlight his vulnerability as he tries to navigate unfamiliar terrain. Bright Falls represents a dangerous landscape to Nightingale, and perhaps to any others who cross its boundary. Day 3. Night. Scanner picked up confused distress call response. Domestic violence? Or burglary? Or vandalism? Or kidnapping? Deputy Dog can't decide. Little Janie Law's got her hands full. Things here are just strange enough that I'm sure I'm on the right track. Found Wake's agent. Followed him a bit. Tubby tried to lose me. Maybe Wake's so slippery because his buddy's so slimy. It is difficult to break through Nightingale's tough law enforcement facade at times, even when he's writing his inner thoughts. But reading between the lines may be illuminative. While Nightingale's entry regarding the scanner radio may be nothing more than a small-town deputy handing routine crime calls, why would he bother noting them? Given his state of mind of the earlier entries, it seems more likely that Nightingale found the garbled distress calls suggestive of paranormal activity. Day 3. Practically 4. Can't go on like this. Daylight is harsh when there's no sleep. Saw Lady Diogenes with her lamp in broad daylight. Forgot her real name. Got it written somewhere. How to get to Wake? Is someone hiding him? Extremism is the cause of sanity is no vice. Whatever it takes. Local head shrinker's name keeps coming up. Hartman. Nightingale's reference to Lady Diogenes refers to the Greek philosopher who walked around ancient Athens with a lamp during the day for the stated purpose of, quote, looking for an honest man. Clearly, he was referring to Cynthia Weaver, a well-known town eccentric who may have been more persistent about the dangers of darkness than anyone could have predicted. Also of note is the mention of Dr. Emil Hartman, who has been unresponsive to my interview requests. Later notes clearly show Nightingale to be suspicious of Hartman's practice at the Cauldron Lake Lodge. Day 4. Didn't sleep a wink. Scanner just got weirder through the night. Wake is one elusive bugger. Is he the only one? Is it him holding up the whole house of cards? What'll happen when I pull? Wish I could be sure. But not to decide is to decide. Have to do what's necessary when the time comes. Feels like I'm alone in the wilderness here. Nightingale's impatience towards the ends of these notes is palpable. This is the first instance where he questions Wake's status as a solitary force. Manifold questions remain, such as why he believed Wake to be such a source of danger. Had Nightingale been drawn to Bright Falls, as I was, by a series of dreams and nightmares? I'm compelled to think he was acting on harder evidence than was available to me. Could this be the ongoing investigation referred to in my FOIA request? You gotta love a novel that includes a Freedom of Information Act request. Day 4, afternoon. A partner isn't like a coworker or friend, or even your brother. He's your guardian, your keeper, your other wife. Keeps you on the dead straight, calls you on everything the others let slide, and he has your back when the shooting starts. That's where I failed Finn. I owe it to him to keep going even when everything's gone dark. When the craziness back east started, he couldn't explain it either. That's when he needed me most, but I blew it. I have to make it right. This is a rarity. One of the few instances where Nightingale reveals his heart, and consequently some objective information about his motivations. That he lost a partner in the line of duty has been confirmed by my investigation, but the circumstances around that loss remain murky indeed. Clearly, he holds himself responsible in some fundamental way. Had Nightingale witnessed similar events before? How did these experiences transform him? Again, all we have is supposition and conjecture. Day 4, night. Hartman seems to be the big man on campus. Very protective of his patients. Skimmed through his self-help book. What a load. Got a sweet little racket going on at that lodge. Gut tells me he's involved in all this somehow. Going for a drive. Can't think in here. Am I going down like Finn? Not if I shoot first. Night. Much later. Sounds getting weirder all the time. Something happening just out of town. Out by some farm. Flashes of light, too. Could be kids with firecrackers getting edgy, starting a barn fire. Probably ought to get some batteries for this stupid flashlight if there's time. Will I have it in me to do what's necessary when the time comes? Interviews. The following interviews with various citizens of Bright Falls were conducted by Agent Nightingale over the course of 3 or 4 days. Nightingale recorded each of them on microcassette, and I've transcribed them myself. It's been a painstaking process, as the sound quality on some of them is very poor. Some of the interviews were more successful than others, yet all show a readiness to speak about the town. All are included here, however, to form a more complete picture of characters and events. Most of them present Agent Nightingale in a very poor light, and I admit I considered leaving these out altogether. Here, let me skip tracks. The very narrative song underneath the reading is difficult. Difficile. There we go. I have a great deal of respect for him and believe they don't paint a complete picture of this deeply conflicted man. In the interest of honesty, I decided to include each one of them. I implore the reader to bear in mind that this is a man under tremendous pressure. I believe that, taken as a whole, these interviews reveal something in the tapestry of the town, and that tapestry cannot help but have an impact on the writer who is caught up in it, for better or for worse. Unknown subject. It's unclear who the subject of this brief interview is. Agent Nightingale himself didn't appear to know. Accompanying notes indicate that he ran into the man in Elderwood National Park while trying to find Alan Wake. But the circumstances are unclear. The interview was conducted outdoors, and judging by the sound quality and the tone of the interview, it's likely Nightingale surreptitiously turned his tape recorder on without the man's knowledge. Nightingale. Been in a fight. What happened? Unknown subject. It's nothing. Nightingale. You seen anything weird around here? How about this guy, Alan Wake? He's not in his cabin. You know where he is? You seen him? The man laughs. That funny to you? Unknown subject. You should leave this whole thing alone. You don't know what you're messing with. Nightingale. That right, and you do, huh? What's your name? Unknown subject. What's it to you? That's right. Don't talk to cops. Nightingale. You see this badge, buddy? I ask the questions. Unknown subject. Government, huh? Gonna put me in the system, government man? Huh? Well, a new system's on its way. What do you think about that? Nightingale. I think we're gonna talk about this down at the station. A pause. You deaf? Let's go, buddy. Unknown subject. If I still had my gun. Nightingale. What the hell did you say to me? Sounds of a scuffle. Nightingale grunts loudly. Running footsteps recede. Nightingale. Get back here, you asshole! You're under arrest! A pause. Nightingale breathes heavily. God damn it! God damn it! Recording ends. Good job, Nightingale. Paul Randolph. Paul Randolph is the manager of the Sparkling River Estates trailer park, where some kind of an incident involving the police and Alan Wake took place. This sequence demonstrates Agent Nightingale's interview skills and professionalism as he manages to coax an obviously reluctant witness into cooperating with him. Can't help thinking that this is an echo of the man before the loss of his partner and the events that led to it. Nightingale. Interviewing Mr. Paul Randolph, manager of the Sparkling River Estates trailer park. Randolph. I'm not sure I want to talk to you. Nightingale. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of that around here. Tough luck. We need to sort this out. Randolph. You could have hit me. Nightingale. Sir, I'm a highly trained federal agent. You were in no danger. Randolph. Yeah, but someone said you were drunk. Nightingale. Who said that? A pause. Do I seem drunk to you, huh? A pause. Randolph. I guess not. Nightingale. These goddamn people. Okay, look, sir. I know you had a scare, and I'm sorry about that. I mean, you're the one who called the police. I know you're the good guy here. It's just the man I'm after is real bad news, and I had to take the shot, you know? I know you were just concerned for the girl. Rose, right? Randolph. Yes, sir. Nightingale. Well, you know she's not doing too good right now, and if we're gonna help her, we're gonna need all the information you can give us, okay? Randolph. Yeah, I guess. Well, those guys were in Rose's trailer for a long time, and I thought, wait a minute. Rose isn't that kind of girl. What's that about? 'Cause, you know, I've been in this business a long time, and some girls, they, Nightingale. Do a little business of their own? Randolph. Yeah, and I don't put up with that, you know? I tell them to move on. I'm no prude, but I don't want that in my place. I know Rose wasn't up to something like that. So, it was weird, those guys staying in her trailer like that. Nightingale. And those guys were... Randolph. Yeah, Wake, and that loudmouth in the puffy jacket. I don't know that guy, but I recognized Wake right away, 'cause Rose is always going on about him. Gave me a couple of his books to read. He's pretty good. But I read the papers too, you know? So I know he gets in trouble a lot. Anyway, they were in there the whole goddamn day. Nobody even came out for a smoke or nothing, 'cause I was working outside the whole time, and I would have seen them. Nightingale. You hear anything? Talking? Arguing? Any noises at all? Randolph. No, sir, it wasn't that close. I mean, the way these trailers are built, I'm sure I would have heard if there was any shouting or anything, sure, but there wasn't nothing. And I knew she'd skipped work today, too, so I got worried. I mean, it's not my business what people do in their own homes, but I know Rose pretty well, and I got to thinking that maybe she's in trouble. The way you guys showed up, I guess I was right, huh? Nightingale. Uh-huh. Go on. Randolph. Well, I just got a real bad feeling about the whole thing, you know? Like a hunch. Like something nasty was going down at her trailer, and, okay. So I called the sheriff. Nightingale. Well, you did the right thing, sir. Recording ends. Oh, sweet, sweet, the coffee sip. You know, it's It's Alan Wake thematic. Damn good cup of coffee. It's not. I ground it too fine today. Nah, it's a little bitter. It's fine. It's fine. Rose Marigold. Miss Marigold appears to have great difficulty focusing on the topic at hand, and it's only with persistence that Agent Nightingale manages to reach her. It's unclear what happened to her, and the identity of the woman she refers to remains unknown. I do find it touching that even though Nightingale appears to be unrelenting and brusque in his interactions with people, he's clearly affected by Miss Marigold's distress. He genuinely feels her pain, and for a brief moment, he seems to put away his obsession with the case. Nightingale. Following is an interview with Rose Marigold, 21, an employee of the Oh Dear Diner in Bright Falls. A pause. Raises voice. Rose. Rose! Rose! Marigold. Okay. Nightingale. My name is Nightingale. I'm a federal agent. I need to ask you some questions. Marigold. Okay. Nightingale. I hear you were seeing Rusty, is that right? The park ranger? Marigold. I like Rusty. He never shouts at me. I give him free coffee at the diner. Don't tell anyone. Or, I think maybe they know? Everybody likes Rusty. Nightingale. Something happened at the Elderwood. We can't find Rusty. Do you know anything about him? Marigold. Rusty. There's a pause. Hey, Missy, I'm losing patience here. I need some goddamn answers. Marigold. Is it day or night? Why is it dark in here? Nightingale. Rose, this is really important. I need to ask you about Alan Wake. Marigold. I'm his biggest fan. Nightingale. Yeah, I heard. He was at Elderwood too. You know anything about what happened there? Why was he at your place? Marigold. His new book's going to be the best possible roller coaster ride. Nightingale. Uh-huh. What did he want with you? What happened? Marigold whimpers. Am I awake? Is this a dream? Nightingale. You're awake! Answer my goddamn questions! Marigold. I can't. Who was that lady? Oh, God. She made me do it. Nightingale. What lady? What did you do? Did Wake hurt you? Marigold. No, he wouldn't. I hurt him, didn't I? I betrayed him. I lied to him. I didn't want to. It was like it wasn't me. I kept screaming and my mouth wouldn't move. I still can't see right. It wasn't supposed to be like that. He was supposed to... She twisted it. Nightingale. Who? Do you mean his wife? Alice Wake? Was she there? Marigold. The woman in black. It was about his manuscript. He wanted it back. We were supposed to talk about it, discuss it. A literary discussion with me. Nightingale. Are you screwing him? Marigold. No, why would you? And he's married. He wouldn't do that. He's not like that. Nightingale. So what were you up to in your trailer? Marigold breaks down and starts to cry. I'm not a bad person. I didn't want to hurt him. Marigold's crying becomes more and more hysterical. She can barely speak. Oh, please. This isn't a dream, is it? I can't tell anymore. What's wrong with the world? Everything looks wrong now, and the light hurts my eyes. Everything looks wrong. It's all wrong. There's a long silence. Marigold continues to cry. Okay, hey, easy. I'm sorry, okay, Rose? Shh. It's okay. Come on, stop crying. I won't ask you any more questions. Marigold continues to cry. Agent Nightingale apparently moves to comfort her. It's okay, honey. I'm sorry, huh? Everything's okay now. Recording ends. I don't remember this song. I do love. No, I don't want any of the Poets of the Fall songs. Get slapped. Get slapped directly down. It's okay. Barry Wheeler. It's unclear why Wake's agent, Barry Wheeler, is being interviewed, but clearly this is somehow connected with the events at the trailer park. I've tried to contact Wheeler several times, but he refuses to talk to me. After certain legal proceedings, I decided to abandon all of my attempts on that front. Nightingale. Talking to Barry Wheeler, a literary agent. Wheeler. What's that? Nightingale. I'm recording this, I told you. How are you feeling, Wheeler? Wheeler. How do you think I'm feeling? Feel like shit. Did you arrest Rose? Nightingale. There's an ongoing investigation. Can't discuss it with you. You just worry about yourself here, Wheeler. Wheeler. Why? Am I under arrest? Nightingale. Not yet. Let's see if you can keep it that way. I got some questions about Wake. You're his friend, right? Wheeler. And his agent. We go back. Yeah, good guy. Nightingale. So you know where he is? Wheeler. How would I know where he is? Nightingale. You just said you're his friend. Wheeler. And agent. And I don't know where he is. Nightingale. You don't. What about his wife? There's a pause. Wheeler. You mean Alice? Nightingale. Yeah, what? Does he have other wives? Wheeler. No, I was just... Well, you know, she's missing. Nightingale. I know she's missing. You're friends with the Wakes, aren't you? Wheeler. Sure, I told you. Al's an old friend. Nightingale. But not her? Wheeler. What? No, she's a friend. Look, we don't see eye to eye on some things, that's all. Nightingale. You sure you don't know anything? I mean, this whole thing, the way you're acting now. I start to get ideas. For example, say there's a marital problem. Maybe she stepped out on him. Wake found out, took it out on her. You're covering up for your meal ticket. Wheeler. What? Nightingale. Hey, happens all the time. I mean, I know you're not the other man, right? Can't see a woman like that going for you. Wheeler. Hey, I get plenty, buddy. Look, what's wrong with you? I got some bad coffee from Rose and passed out. Suddenly you're in my face with crazy shit? Listen, I'm the injured party here. I'm the victim. Nightingale. I don't care about any of that. I just want... Wheeler. You don't care? What, below your pay grade, Mr. FBI? Well, my lawyer'll make you care, pal. Nightingale. God damn it, just tell me where Wake is. Wheeler. Am I psychic? Do I have a map in my pocket with a big X on it? Do you post status updates? Hell, I wouldn't tell you if I did know, because I think you're batshit crazy. Believe me, I know crazy when I see it. Nightingale. Listen, doughboy. How'd you like to be charged with obstruction of justice? Wheeler sputters. Oh, it's on now, man. It's lawyer time. I want my phone call. You haven't read me my rights. Nightingale. You're not even under arrest. Wheeler. Oh, well, you're still a jerk. You're not arresting me? There's a brief pause. Nightingale. No. Wheeler. Well, then I'm out of here. Jerk. Wheeler gets up and slams the door. Recording ends. Pat Maine. Local disc jockey and radio personality Pat Maine was obviously resentful of Nightingale, though it wasn't clear why. Unfortunately, his reaction was somewhat typical. Very few Bright Falls citizens, if any, seem to respect Nightingale much. It's notable that the interviews takes a strange turn at the end. Obviously, both Nightingale and Maine know much more than they're saying, but neither party remains willing to commit to saying it out loud. Nightingale. I'm interviewing Pat Maine, the local radio host. Thanks for coming in, Mr. Maine. Maine. Against my better judgment. You realize that the only reason I'm talking to you at all is because Sarah asked me to? Nightingale. Yeah, I'm very touched by your... Maine. Agent, I'm not going to take any abuse from you. Not after our last encounter. Nightingale. Listen, that was all a misunderstanding. Maine. No, it wasn't. It was reckless, dangerous, and stupid, and you were in no condition to be working. Nightingale. Look, Can we just concentrate on this interview and get it over with, please? Sit down. A brief pause. Please. Maine. All right. What do you want to know? Nightingale. What did Wake want with you? Maine. I've no idea. We really didn't have any time to talk. Thought he dropped in for an interview. We met on the ferry when he and his wife were coming to town. He wasn't interested in one then. I said he could look me up if he changed his mind. Would have been a bit of a catch. We are driving to... I think this was Poulsbo. I think this was actually back from Poulsbo. I'm pretty sure. Some were Kitsappi, some were Tacoma. Celebrity would attract people outside the immediate area. Nightingale. That's not why he was there. Man, he said that. Couldn't say what he wanted before we were interrupted. If I hadn't said he was at the studio on air, things would probably have gone differently. Nightingale. Trust me, you got lucky. Wake's trouble. Maine. Really? Think I'm a fair judge of character, Agent Nightingale, and it's not the impression I got. Nightingale. Suit yourself. Maine. I did wonder if he had anything to do with the situation at the trailer park, but it seemed so unlikely. Suppose I was wrong about that. Even so, I really can't imagine that anything Mr. Wake has done could be worth all this effort. Nightingale. You probably can't. Me? I don't have to imagine. Maine. That sounds ominous. Nightingale. It is ominous, Mr. Maine. Trust me on that. It's no joke. I've seen things you wouldn't believe. Maine. You should consider the possibility that your experience doesn't make you an expert or improve your judgment. May not make you as unique as you think. There's a pause. I don't know anything about Mr. Wake. Perhaps if you were to tell me what he's done. Nightingale. That relates to an ongoing investigation. I can't discuss it with you. Maine. Or the sheriff or anyone else, it appears. Nightingale. Friendly with the sheriff, huh? Maine. This is a small community, Agent Nightingale. It's obvious you have no idea what you're doing. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm trying to tell you something important. A short pause. Nightingale. Please, Maine, you know something. I need you to tell me. I need help here. Maine. Frankly, I'm not prepared to discuss that with you. I'm sorry, Agent Nightingale. But I don't trust you. Nightingale. But you trust Wake, is that it? Maine. I really don't know him at all. But he seems to be less of a loose cannon than you are. A pause. Get out of here. Just get the hell out. Recording ends. Yeah, get him, Grandpa. Get him. Dr. Emil Hartman. This is the last of Agent Nightingale's taped interviews, apparently recorded outside the gates of Dr. Hartman's Cauldron Lake Lodge. I had a hard time making out Hartman's words, which came from a speaker. Again, Nightingale recorded this without the interviewee's knowledge, as the recording begins mid-conversation. Unlike the other interviews, Agent Nightingale now sounds undeniably drunk, and his poor conduct here speaks volumes about the immense pressure he must have felt. Hartman. Don't think that can be arranged right now. I'm afraid we're a little understaffed today, so I'm very busy. You really should make an appointment. Nightingale. I have reason to believe there's a fugitive from justice on your premises. Hartman. That's utterly ridiculous. Agent, you're not coming in. Nightingale. Listen, Hartman. You'd better cooperate here. I'm a federal agent. Hartman. I'm well aware. Your reputation reached me long before you did. Nightingale. What's that supposed to mean? Hartman. It means, Agent Nightingale, that you've demonstrated an unfortunate tendency to wave your gun around and go about your duties under the influence of alcohol. Did you really think no one would notice? Nightingale. You son of a bitch. Hartman. Agent, I deal with substance abusers daily. You're a classic addict, unable to get through the day without drinking, yet living in obvious denial of your condition. You should seek help. Nightingale. Go to hell. Hartman. What's your crutch, Agent? A discreet hip flask, perhaps? Tell yourself it's nothing. Here's an illuminating little experiment. Does the thought of pouring it all out on the ground make you a little panicky? What a cliché. Nightingale. Shut up. Hartman. As you wish. Good day. There's a long pause. Nightingale breathes heavily and apparently attempts to collect himself. Then he sounds the buzzer repeatedly. Hartman. Agent, this is completely unacceptable. I realize that your day isn't spent on anything constructive, but I have patients that need my help. Patients that are actually willing to work through their problems. Nightingale. We're not done yet, Hartman. I don't give a rat's ass about your patients. Is Alan Wake in there? Hartman. No. I told you that already. Why do you persist with this line of inquiry? Nightingale. I'm not buying that. I was trailing Wheeler. This is the only place he could have gone. That means Wake is probably here too. Agent Nightingale, this is private property and I will not allow you to disturb my patients. Nightingale. Yeah, I can get a warrant. How'd your fragile little patients like that? Hartman laughs. Oh, I'm thoroughly intimidated by your mighty authority now, Agent. Nightingale. Listen, you smug snob. How would you like it if I busted through this gate and knocked you around a little? Hartman. Agent Nightingale. First of all, I'm recording this conversation, so you might want to watch what you say. Secondly, you're not dealing with a hick now. I know the law, and if you can get a judge to grant a warrant, I'll be glad to cooperate. But you won't get one. Be advised that any further communications with me are to be made through my lawyer. Good day, Agent. Agent Nightingale enters his car, followed by a scream of frustration and heavy thumps accompanied by the car's horn. Agent Nightingale starts his car and drives away. Presumably, he's forgotten his tape recorder is on. He occasionally talks to himself, but the recorder can't pick up the words over the car's engine. Recording ends when the tape runs out. Oh, Nightingale. You a mess, buddy. Oh, the manuscript. Let's see. Yeah, that we can get at least through the manuscript. It is unknown just how many pages make up the manuscript, but they potentially number in the hundreds. Based on my investigation, it's likely that Agent Nightingale had amassed more than what was present in the air vent, but the locations of the extant pages remains unknown. My research in Bright Falls hit a dead end when it came to these pages. Although the provenance of the notes is unclear, their style is unmistakably that of Wake's. Just how or when these pages were written, or to what end, remains a mystery. Wake arrived in Bright Falls 2 weeks before Deerfest and had supposedly never been to the town before. How would he be able to write page after page depicting events related to actual town residents? Some of these residents are now missing, while others do not care to comment and became quite aggressive when I persisted with my questioning. Whether the pages were predictive of future events or some complex incantation that caused the events to occur may never be solved to any degree of satisfaction. 4 days after she reached the age of 26, Maggie decided her life was over. If asked to explain why, she could not have answered. If pressed, she might admit it had something to do with Samuel. How he had left 3 months ago without a word, and how she had just seen him at a party. Now he had his arm around a beautiful girl she'd never seen before. It was more than that, of course. It was always more than that. That's why she was walking the 7 miles to Lover's Peak. Teenagers had parties out there, and very occasionally someone would fall or jump. She hiked the trails wearing her old headlamp, following the bouncing ball of light like reading the lyrics to a song. When she reached the peak, she switched the headlamp off. If asked, she'd say she did not jump. She simply inched herself closer and closer to the edge until the inevitable happened. Eyes wide open, she fell rapidly, but death was quicker. In her last moment, she saw a great cloud of ink rise from the tree canopy and catch her like an insect in amber. It held her softly, the way Samuel once did, and by the time it brought her down to the forest floor to settle on her feet, it was as though she was reborn and ready to start her new life. Perhaps she'd visit an old friend. Ellen shivered as the storm rolled in. A sweater and jacket should have been plenty to ward off the chill, but it was dark, and suddenly so bitter that the stars looked jagged. A scientist should always be prepared, she chided herself. Ellen wasn't weird, no matter what the other 7th graders said. Her mind just worked differently, which was why she was sitting in the forest with her ears stopped up and a mini tape recorder beside her. Soon, she'd know the answer to the question. If a tree falls in the middle of the forest and there's no one to hear it, does it make a sound? Extra credit! The alder trees rattled against each other in the wind like finger bones. Soon, the storm toppled one over. The recorder would provide the proof if it actually made a sound when it fell. She shivered again, her breath frosty. She looked around, trying to get her bearings, but everything seemed tilted and out of place. Even the stars were blinking out, like someone pulled the plug on heaven. Nothing to cover herself but the shadows that overwhelmed her. She reached for the light switch in desperation. She cringed and crossed her arms across her chest, hugging her own body close, bracing for the onslaught. Squeezing her eyes shut, she shuddered as she felt the darkness fill her, chasing away every hope, attacking even her memory of her own identity. The alarm of the invasion caused her to cry out involuntarily, which only sped the inevitable. Her descent into despair hurtled like a pitch-black boulder thrown down a mineshaft. Her cries came out in muffled, choking sounds. In her ears, she could hear what sounded like a monsoon crashing its devastation through the cabin. Outside there was near silence. The elderly couple who walked by heard nothing of the internal storm that raged only a few yards away. "It's cold," the old woman said to her husband. "Suddenly very cold." "You're always cold," he said. There did seem to be an extra breeze through the forest. He slipped his jacket off and put it over her shoulders, thinking he was rescuing the nearest damsel in distress. Nobody wants your bot ads. Get out of here. And gone. Worst vacation ever. 2 weeks off a year, and Blaine had to spend it driving around in an RV with his in-laws from Tokyo. People acted like they'd never seen a redwood tree, and his mother-in-law found every jerkwater town cute. Nothing cute about Bright Falls. Just redneck dopes asking him what kind of mileage he got in a Winnebago. Didn't help that his wife Asako's spastic colon was kicking up with all the fast food, making her totally useless. It all fell on Blaine. He wanted to barrel on to Longview or Portland, someplace with a sizzler and a multiplex. But his in-laws had seen the mountain turnout and wanted to stay and watch the sunset. Like the sun never set in Japan. Fine. Blaine stayed in the RV while the three of them stood against the railing taking pictures. Jeez, got dark fast up in Nowheresville. Hardly see a thing. One minute it was twilight, and the next. Bill rocked on the porch of his cabin as the last of the light faded, listening to his stomach growl. When his little brother disappeared 26 years ago, at least Bill got dinner. Oh, sure. Folks had traded tales of screams in the night, and nothing but a smear of blood left behind, and poor Timmy this, and poor Timmy that. But Bill had insisted the brat must have gotten lost or fallen down a well. Timmy was always careless, sticking his nose in places it didn't belong. Clara was the same way. Bill's wife. Clara never liked the cabin. Always worried about being so far from other folks, seeing things in the trees, always asking him dumb questions. Now Clara had disappeared too, snatched away an hour ago, leaving a pan of meatloaf fixins on the table. The night deepened, but Bill maintained the same unhurried rocking. He liked the gathering darkness, the way the shadows piled up on each other. All these years, and he never missed his little brother, and he wouldn't miss Clara either. He would miss her meatloaf, though. If Donnie Ray thought Darlene was going to fall for that I ran out of gas nonsense, he had another thing coming. She'd slammed the door of his 4x4 so hard about cracked the window. She didn't care. Donnie Ray did, though. Running after her, yelling who'd she think she was. Darlene knew who she was. She was the one saying, "Shove it" to Donnie Ray, which was why she lay hunkered down in the weeds, listening to the crickets while Donnie Ray thrashed about in the darkness, bellowing about what he was going to do to her when he found her. Crickets got real quiet, but Donnie Ray didn't notice. Darkness boiled up from the trees, and he didn't notice that either, not even when it rolled right towards him. Heart pounding, Darlene eased towards the road and started walking quickly back to town. She promised herself she wouldn't run, wouldn't panic. That's the manuscript pages in that. I did want to read this again on Friday, and that does land us about halfway, and with 2 minutes to pre-roll. Perfection. Slap that in there. Take a little brickety brick. Come back. Finish starting off that new 14 all. Yeah.